Hi guys, this is Eileen Asher. I'm the host of Artists with Anxiety. I almost forgot the title of my own show. Wow. I am here with Nikki Shrestha, who is a longtime friend of mine. We actually worked for a magazine a couple years back, and we have been fast friends ever since. So she is also an artist in Columbus, and I was here to talk to her about her creative career. So I'll start off with of course, the obvious question of tell us about yourself. What kind of an artist are you? Like, what makes you feel creative? Because you do a whole bunch of things on top of painting, which you actually might see little bits of it in the background. But then you also do a bunch of other stuff too.
You know, I've been thinking, because, I was like, what questions is she going to ask? I need to at least try to sound put together. What kind of an artist am I? I just started to feel comfortable in myself as of, I would say, in the last 10 years. What type of artist am I? I don't know. I love mixed media. Mm-hmm. I love finding a whole bunch of stuff and somehow tying it all in. For a while, I went through a spray paint phase. I went through a photography phase. I can't really say what type of artist I am, because even to this day, I don't think I've found my absolute art form or what works for me. I think I have a little piece of here and here and here, so I can't say, well, this is what type of artist I am, but I love mixed media.
That's fantastic.
I do.
I'll have to show pictures and a little bit of video later, but there's art all around this house, and it's all fantastic. So I'll post some pictures, and you'll see it on.
To say that.
Yeah. Okay. I'll post on social media so you guys will be able to see. But we'll keep going. This. How did you get involved in the artistic community? Because you're even working for a magazine right now, right?
Yeah. Well, I've done media my whole life. I've been in media over 10 years. I'm a media director. For the state employee retirees. I also am writing for Free Press, and I'm a producer and a show host at WGRN 94.1. Mm-hmm. So I've always somehow been, well, and before that, I showcased for BMI Records at age 16.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you know that.
I don't think I did, actually.
I did country music. Yeah, I'm a media director for the state employee retirees. I also am a writer for a Free Press magazine. I was actually offered a column yesterday.
Oh my God! Wow.
When I was producing a show, and it's honestly, I think, the first chance that I've had. And I'm like, so I can write about this and this? She's, yeah. And I'm like, so you mean I can write about this and this? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, finally, I feel like I'll be able to kind of do the type of writing I wanted. When I first started broadcasting school, I wanted to do investigative journalism.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I also wanted to do like third world investigative journalism, like Geraldo Rivera.
Yes.
On the front lines, I got you.
Yes.
So I'm producing for WGRN as well, and got offered that yesterday. And I've been in media. I was talking about it recently, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's been 10 years. I've been in media for 10 years. I'm getting older. But I've always been creative. I did my first musical at age 7. It was Annie for Ohio Northern University. I was the youngest member of the community choir for Ohio Northern. Aww. And then I just went into a vocal and dance. I showcased for BMI Records at 16. I was regularly going to Nashville to record. I won nationals for the Jimmy Dean, which sent me back to the Grand Ole Opry where I showcased.
Oh, wow.
And then I was on Nashville Star. Fun fact.
Oh my God, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Country music.
No kidding.
Boots and hat and all.
Oh God, I can only imagine.
I'm serious.
So multi-talented, for sure.
All over the place.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic. I learned things today that I did not know, so I'm excited.
The more you know.
Yeah. the
little star.
Okay, so before we started this episode, we were talking just you and I about how art has literally saved your life. Not so much even like the metaphor kind of sentiment, but I know that you were struggling. You had some issues that you were struggling with, and I know the art played a huge role. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, and I'm glad that you made note of that. Everybody always says, "Well, music saved my life," or "Art saved my life." it literally saved my life. You know, I had a very rough childhood. I went through quite some traumatic times. And it was instantly that I was attracted to abstract because I was trying to make sense of stuff that I couldn't make sense of. I did abstract art, I mean, at 9 years old.
Oh, wow.
And I remember my parents being like, what is this? I'm like, it's art. It's art.
Oh, wow. Well, none of us haven't done that already.
I wish I would have saved it. You know what I mean? I really wish. But through one of the toughest times of my life, and I'm talking tough where a lot of people just give up. I didn't know how to express it, but I didn't have to with a canvas. I would go downstairs, and it actually, no joke, like the first time, and I have this painting downstairs, I said, you know what, I'm not going to have some goal in mind for this canvas. And that's when I realized you just let a canvas go. I'll know when it's done. I sat there and I felt what colors needed to go on that canvas, and I let whatever I was feeling go with that. To this day, it's one of my favorite paintings. I've never let it out of my sight, but it made sense of what I couldn't. You know, how do you make sense of some of that stuff? Some of it's just crazy and traumatic. But I also learned, and this is what I'll say, especially about abstract and mixed media, is anybody can draw a sunshine, and me and you look at that and say, you know, that's a pretty sunshine.
Yeah.
Now, with my mixed society piece that I did, my 6-piece canvas, you know, people ask me what that's about, and when I can say, you know, suicide and manic depression and PTSD and flashbacks of PTSD are depicted in every line, and someone can say, you know, that's really beautiful. I think that is what makes an artist. Anybody can draw a sunshine and you say, that's pretty. When you can make someone that's not even into like abstract and modern art say, you know, Nikki, I respect that, and I think that's beautiful. I think that's what makes an artist.
Well, actually, that brings me to another question. I'll even skip around. I was gonna say you're an emotional painter, not that you're like, you know, emotional psychotic, but that you put everything that you are feeling. You put everything that you're feeling onto a canvas. Are you comfortable doing that, or do you ever struggle with it?
I'm comfortable doing it. I'm not always comfortable showing it.
Okay.
Because, you know, it's such a state of vulnerability. However, when it's hard to know when you're pulling from one emotion without, sometimes you don't want all the other ones to flood in. So to pace yourself, I've always loved just letting it just going crazy in a sense. I really admire that, and it's therapeutic. But to show it is a whole nother thing.
Oh yeah.
Like I was shaking my whole first art show. Like shaking. It was insane.
I believe that, and I've got some of the pictures, and even you were talking about how nervous you were for showing them off for
this
show. Yeah.
It's something I thought about when I was like, oh, wait a minute, am I ready to show these? Because that vulnerability, you are sharing, especially with emotional artistry, you're sharing those layers of you, and those are raw layers. And in a societal standpoint, you know, especially pulling from, you know, PTSD and mental illness, it's been such a taboo topic for so long. Society has almost deemed that as a flaw.
Yeah.
You know
I mean? Absolutely.
So it's hard to say, here I am, here's all my flaws, this and that, and this is the way I feel, and hope that people understand it. You know what I mean? So definitely an emotional painter.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so then going back to, I'm really distracted by this cat, guys. It's adorable. He's so cute, but he keeps making noise, so I'm really sorry. If I'm giggling in really inappropriate times, that's why. So back to one of my other questions is that even when you're in your element of creativity and you're really feeling it, do you ever kind of have issues where you're struggling to like, are you holding back in any way? Is there anything that when you're in the height of your creativity that you feel like you can't do something because something's holding you back? If that makes sense.
No, but I feel like sometimes I will go with it and start, and I'm so impatient to where I'll start to stop my own process, which works for me, because I just want to finish. And, you know, some of my paintings, they weren't finished for like 5 or 6 sessions. You know what I mean? Just like I said, I did not know what was going on canvas when I started, but I would know when it was done. And sometimes I just wanted to have a new piece or this and that, and learning that I couldn't rush through it. That was one of my biggest struggles. To say, okay, we're done for this one. We'll come back to this in a couple days. But that was really the only thing stopping me. Because when I went down to paint, I usually was so full. I was ready for that.
So it's definitely as a form of therapy for you.
Without
Absolutely.
a doubt. Without a doubt.
I mean, I feel like it's, for the most part, it's like that for a lot of artists too, especially. I mean, even if you have like an artist block, or if you're freaking out about something, even if you're staring at a blank canvas and have no idea what you're going to paint at all, you're still doing what you love anyway, but it's that struggle of getting through it.
I think that's what art is. You know what I mean? I think at the end of the day, people may not understand what you're doing. And regardless, at the end of the day, you may not like what happens, or you don't want to show it, or you could show it to 10 people and all of them didn't understand. It's the act of being able to paint and to express yourself.
Absolutely,
it's important.
So is there anything outside of art that keeps you grounded, that works as your form of therapy? Or even if you, because I've talked about in a number of episodes that as much as art is my therapy, like I rely on medication to keep myself sane, and I've been to therapy. And I mean, we were talking about this earlier, now that mental illness has kind of taken a forefront in not only the media, but in a lot of people's minds, that that's something that I want to address in this show, is like, what are other ways that art, like creatives in general, can keep themselves grounded and safe anyway?
Being honest with yourself first off, and not being afraid to find therapy. I have seen a therapist my whole life. I will probably always see a therapist. I think it's really, I think if you don't got a mental illness, see a therapist. You know what I mean? There is nothing wrong with having a life coach. Nothing wrong with having someone cheer you along the way.
Absolutely.
So I honestly think that I will always have a counselor. Medicine-wise, I do take medication. Like I said, I started medication. It started with Ritalin in 3rd grade. And I remember hearing my teachers over talk that I shouldn't be on medication because I'd have to go to the office to take it. But I honestly feel antidepressant-wise, I will probably always require something. And I'm okay with that. Actually, like 75% are on antidepressants.
Oh,
however, ultimately my goal is to be completely natural. As a Buddhist, it's really important for me to not so much depend on anything, but then again, that's always, it's just my goal. If I always need to take one antidepressant, I will never second guess that.
Right,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? Meditation, I am a firm believer in meditation. And like I said, Buddhist faith, no matter what you believe, having a sense of faith, that's your foundation. I honestly believe that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you'll hear in other interviews that I've done with a couple other artists that they cite their faith, or either whether it's Christian faith, whether it's Muslim faith, whatever. If they're just spiritual in general, then that's what keeps them. That general mindfulness is what keeps them grounded.
Right.
And yeah, absolutely.
Without a doubt.
I mean, that's my. Well, I've told a number of people this. I'm an absolutely terrible Catholic, but even when I'm like stressed out and freaking out, that I will sit there and I will like recite a whole string of like Hail Marys, just because I need that repetition, and it gets me to calm down. That when I'm repeating the same thing over, it almost is like a mantra, like a meditative state almost, and it keeps me calm. And that's kind of one of the ways that when I'm having like a panic attack, I'm sitting or trying to.
Those are fun, aren't they?
Oh, they're great. I love them. Holy crap.
This is my sarcastic.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Okay, so do you have any last minute advice or tips for any local creatives on that are kind of like struggling to find their place or that they're struggling to find their voice?
First off, don't be afraid. Let it out. And don't worry, well, if I do this, I have to show it. You don't got to show it till you're ready. And you can always show it in your own way. Dig deep.
Mm-hmm.
Dig deep and embrace all of it.
There's a bravery in that for sure.
Take some courage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it really, really does. But then again, anyone knowing their self in any fashion does. So
yeah, I don't think you can be an artist and be a coward, really. And,
no.
It won't allow it.
Yeah. I could draw stick figures all day long.
Actually, I'll show you some of her paintings, and that's a lot. But she's fantastic.
Thank you.
So I again, going back to my disclaimer that I talked about with every episode, that I am by no means a licensed professional. I can't even pretend to say that I'm a therapist, but I'm always willing to listen. So I always include my viewers, my friends, my family, to seek someone that they trust to help, whether it's a doctor, if it's a licensed professional, therapist, psychiatrist, a friend, a family member, a priest,
right.
Whatever you feel comfortable telling them. As long as you're comfortable telling them, that's the big thing. But don't be afraid to reach out. You need to take care of yourself. There's no shame in therapy. There's no shame in medication. Right. Please take care of yourself, but also please don't consider anything that we say as like sound medical advice.
Love yourself.
Yes, that's the medical advice.
Take it.
But and we are not therapists, so you can't. Please don't sue. It's the moral of the story. But always, I want you guys to take care of yourself. Whatever you need to do that's safe and happy and healthy for you. Whatever you need to get to a better mental state. If you're watching this, I hope that you're creative in some point, that you're a student of the arts, or if you're a musician, if you're a writer, whatever you get that release from, please channel it. And whenever you're ready, show it to the world, because I would love to see it. I'd love to see that work. And you have a fantastic foundation here in Columbus, especially because we are an incredibly artistic city.
Yes.
So that's all I have for today. So thank you guys so much for watching. I've got a bunch of guests lined up in the coming episodes, so I hope that you'll stay tuned and pay attention, because that would be much appreciated. Like and subscribe at the bottom, and I will also include links, and check out my definitely my Instagram for sure. I haven't decided if I'm doing Facebook yet or not, but definitely check out my Instagram for samples of work, and I'll have definitely a lot of pictures and video of Nikki's work and a lot of the other creatives that I'm interviewing as well. So please stay tuned for the next couple episodes. Thank you guys so much for watching, and please take care of yourselves.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. It's been like over a year since I've seen this woman,
and I
miss her so much. So this has been a joy for me and therapeutic for me. So
Deal.
It's been fantastic. So thank you guys so much. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.